I would like to congratulate the Honourable Member for South Shields on the success of her private member's bill, and I'm delighted to join colleagues from across the House in speaking in favour of its provisions. Mr Deputy Speaker, the United Kingdom is a nation which likes to support our national teams and our chosen football teams. And whether it's any sporting event or ceremonial event, whether it's the Olympics, Paralympics, the Football World Cup, the Euros, the Ashes, Coronations, war weddings, I could go on. But with our teams and sports people and our royalty are doing well, we want to support them. And what better way to support them and celebrate is in our local pub, our sports or social club. They are particular venues where we want to share our joys and woes, often with like-minded people. That is why this bill is to provide a blanket extension of licensing hours makes sense to allow people to gather to mark an occasion of exceptional international, national or local significance.
Would my honourable friend allow?
Of course.
My honourable friend is absolutely right about moments of celebration in pubs. Now, she represents the cities of London and Westminster, and I expect she has the most pubs in any single constituency. And while it may be unfair for her to single out just one, I wonder if there's a particular sporting occasion or other occasion of joy where she has certainly enjoyed that in a pub locally.
I thank my right honourable friend for that intervention, and I would say actually there's been far too many to be able to name them or to, as she says, there are so many amazing venues in my constituency. I think at my last count we had 13,000 licensed premises in Westminster alone, and as a former licensing chairman of Westminster Council, the largest licensing authority in the country, I can speak with some authority that we do have amazing licensed premises here. But Mr Deputy Speaker, the alternative to this bill is, as the Honourable Member for South Shields says, is to go with temporary event notices, which are used for individual businesses looking to extend their hours. And I know from my experience as licensing chair that these are a bureaucratic nightmare for licensing authorities, especially when in a city centre like Westminster or central Manchester or Birmingham or wherever. And the cost, £21, never ever matches the cost of the administration of these temporary employment notices. So I absolutely do think that this bill will do away with the time-consuming bureaucracy. In practice, the blanket extension orders go unopposed, and we have often seen the public in favour of proposed licensing extension hours. For this year's Euros, 85% of respondents to the consultation were in favour, and 77% were in favour of the extension during the King's coronation. Mr Deputy Speaker, I think it's also a very important point to make, is that there is a massive, vital economic benefit from this bill. Pubs and late-night venues in my constituency of the cities of London and Westminster employ over 22,000 people and turn over £1 billion each year. It is the #1 constituency for turnover and economic value from the hospitality industry in the UK. And that's just in this central London, and every part of the United Kingdom, pubs and other venues play a vital part in the local economy, and I think this bill will absolutely support them, and we know that the hospitality industry has had a very tough time over the last 5 years. Mr Deputy Speaker, while I welcome making the process easier for extending opening hours, it is important not to forget that such extensions will see an increase in consumption of alcohol, and therefore likely, as often is the case, sadly result in an increase in antisocial behaviour and disturbances for residents. For the Euros 2020 final, the extension order allowed for an extra 45 minutes of serving time. However, for this year's 2024 Euros, the government's consultation has proposed extending the licensing hours by 2 hours, meaning many pubs will close at 1 a.m. And I'm sure we will all agree in this House, we do not want to see a repeat of what happened in the 2020 Euros, where Trafalgar Square in my constituency was the site of very, very sadly unruly behaviour. excess drinking and revellers climbing on buildings and buses, and it was an absolute nightmare. And I am aware of residents' concerns that the current licensing application for the fan zone for this year's Champions League final will allow up to 20,000 people to gather in Trafalgar Square, and for a further 30,000 in Victoria Embankment Gardens. Mr Deputy Speaker, of course.
I thank the honourable member for giving way, and I thank her for fulsome support of my bill today. And I just want to stress to the House and the honourable member that there will be continued consultation with police and with local authorities even while my bill is in play. We are simply changing the parliamentary process here, not the process that happens outside of this place. I just want to give her that assurance.
I thank the honourable member for South Shields for that point, and I absolutely accept that point. I just want to take this opportunity to ensure that we don't forget that in central London, in my constituency, we obviously have, as I have already noted, we have a massive, very, very vital hospitality industry which employs tens of thousands of people, but we also have residents living cheek to jowl with these premises, and so many of them in social housing. I was actually visiting a social housing block in Mayfair last week, and you wouldn't really expect to see social housing in places like Mayfair, but we do. We have social housing in Mayfair, Belgravia, Soho, Marylebone, and therefore it's really important that we don't forget that. Mr Deputy Speaker, the UK should of course take pride in hosting internationally renowned competitions such as the Euros and the Champions League, and make provision for those seeking to celebrate them. And I absolutely understand why the government and the GLA want to have fan zones. But I'm also aware that local councillors, businesses and residents in the St James's ward do object to the licensing application for the fan zone on the basis that the venue and location are wholly unsuitable. Local residents in particular tell me that they feel as though there has been a lack of consultation in this process. So we must be careful, and I absolutely note what the honourable member says about this bill being about parliamentary process, and that is why I absolutely support this bill, because it is ridiculous that in this day and age that we have to have the House of Commons and the other place agree to extending licensing hours to an hour or whatever just for one day. So I absolutely appreciate and support that. But I think we also have to remember that the knock-on effect for these extended licensing hours has on the police and local councils in particular. When the licensing hours were extended for the 2020 Euros, we saw huge amounts of waste and litter across the West End. Westminster City Council collected 20 tonnes of waste over a period of 19 hours during and after the historic England versus Italy final with the use of 20 vehicles. So I have to take my hat off, as ever, to the cleansing services of Westminster City Council. They deliver every time we have a major celebration or even a major protest. And they clean up. You would never think that anything had happened before. But it does put a strain on local authority spending, and particularly in Westminster, where we are not provided with extra government funding to undertake the cleansing after these special events. And I know that Metropolitan Police, again, spend a lot of time and resources putting in extra police officers to police these events. So it does remain crucial, and I absolutely note what the member for South Shields says, that it is crucial that police and local authorities are provided with the guidance and support they need during moments of national celebrations, national moments of significance, when the licensing hours are extended. And for my long-term goal, we need to make sure that residents living close to hospitality venues and those within licensed hours are considered in any extension. I absolutely accept that the consultation system is not changing under this bill, and I absolutely welcome this. So, Mr Deputy Speaker, I do welcome this bill. I see this as a move to simplify the process of extending licensing hours within the parliamentary process when needed, and I look forward to seeing the bill complete its journey through this place and the other place.